if y'all want to make a statement against me, I have the proof now. I had to dig a little bit to find it, but like there's no nothing about like a $20,000 debit to my account, and I can show you my November statement. I figured it out. I want everybody to see like my bank statements, like how like
if you had more than what we have and a $20,000 thing, trust me, I wouldn't.
But it's just funny.
I wouldn't just have goddamn fucking pork chops in the fucking freezer.
It's just.
I have never ever lied. Ever.
According to these receipts posted by Locked Vault on Instagram, it looks like Natalie joined adoptabum.com on June 17th, 2021. Now, why do I say adoptabum.com? We'll get to that. But you can see she looked a little apprehensive at first because her first amount was $500, but only $200 of that was listed as a gift. The $300 she had clearly marked as a loan. Now, it'd be really interesting to find out if he'd ever paid a dime of that loan back. I'm going to say probably not, simply because if he had any receipt of any kind showing any money going back to her, by now, I'm thinking he'd have probably shown his phone, shoved up his foam-covered phone into our faces on a live. So the reason I say adoptabum.com is because from there, it's obvious he's just going to keep coming back for more and more and more. So once he got a little taste of that money in June, this started to be a regular thing. He had that $500 in June. Now in July, he needs $1,000. Somehow, she gets away from sending him anything in August other than the super chat, the massive super chats she was sending him during this time. Then back in September, he needs $1,000 again. What a sweet deal he's got going on. Now, October 15th, he needs $16 to post something. Why doesn't he have $16 to post something by himself? I don't know. But anyway, she pays for it. And then she pays $500 for HagCon. Now, mind you, during this time, John was supposedly driving to deliver food. He also had a pretty good YouTube thing going at that time. He still had lots of views. He had them awful Snowden interviews up that for some reason people watched even though they were absolutely horrible. So, where was his money going? He clearly says...
But we weren't able to make a car payment.
Yes.
In like
a
year. And by, both our cars were financed through Key Bank. And we got our loans through both there. So after, I think, like 6 months, after 6 months of not paying, or 3 months, whenever they do it, the Key Bank sold both our cars to, like, the repo company. And they were calling us, tracking us down, and that's it. So.
Hadn't made a car payment in a year. Why not? We know what he was doing in that year. It's all documented. His YouTube channel was doing great. He was still on with Sherelle. He was still on with Monica. He had his own good lives. He was getting super chats, hundreds of dollars a night. They had huge birthday bashes where they got a lot of money. Why? In a year's... Oh, they were delivering food? In a year's time, they couldn't make one car payment? Not one? Interestingly enough, in that time, he and Sherelle and that Ruth financial girl had sat there and picked through every tiny bit of Andrew's financial records. Do y'all remember that? Pointing fingers at him, saying he'd abused something or other, sitting there knowing he wasn't even paying his own car note. He dug through Tariq's financial business, went through his... I don't remember what he claimed. He claimed he had a bankruptcy or something like that. Not paying bills, something or other like that. Sitting there, not paying his own damn car note. Or Chody's. Also, he said Rebecca was next. Remember? He made threats he was going to go through her finances because she'd had a bit of a financial problem too. That never happened, but the point was, he was planning on it. Sitting there, not even paying his own damn bills and taking money from all these women. Shame on him. Then later in October, Julie plans her little shindig, the HagCon, but look who foots the bill for that. $500 from yours truly, Natalie. But that wasn't enough, was it? We see a second $500 given on the same day. Now, I don't know if this was a duplicate mistake in the receipts. It was in there twice, so I put it in twice. But even that wasn't enough. We see the very next day $300 for drinks and food, because Julie brought gas station ham sandwiches and he wanted some real food. Then somehow, 3 days later, he needs a whopping $2,500. What in the world did he need that much money for? But hey, when you got an ATM like that, all for free, why not use it up as much as you can, huh, John? And he's gonna get mad because she's releasing these. These are her receipts. We have seen him before post a receipt of money he sent to someone. These are her receipts, her expenditures. She can share them however she wants to. So why is her sharing this making him so mad? Why is he doxing her and doxing her husband and posting private, secret things that she told him when they were friends? Because she's releasing these receipts? This is her own business. Why is he so mad? Why? Because he's ashamed. And he can't do this to other women if it's out there what he's done. Now, here's the real whopper. This $20,000 wire transfer that he lied about over and over again. Jody backed him up. Denied it, threatened, blackmailed to try to stop this from getting out there. Back then he called her Natalie M. What was the M for? Money. And here's a little clip of how he was feeling the night she gave him that money. And on a separate one, I'll post what he was saying. It's that famous one where he vows on his eyesight and on his marriage and on his soul that he was never going to talk bad about anyone ever again. But this is how he described her that night.
Natalie, I don't know if Natalie's great. I love Natalie. Just want to give Natalie a shout out. But Natalie M. Special shout out to Natalie M. She is so great. And such a kind human being. And I don't know where I'd be without her. And such an amazing person. Always there for me, just to listen. You know, there are good people and there are bad people. And let me tell you, Natalie M., one of the best human beings on earth. She is amazing and so grateful that our lines crossed, because there are good people and there are bad people. And Natalie is one of the best people. So just want to give her a shout out, because as much as like there are bad people saying bad things about you, there are good people just who listen to you. They're there for you. We don't miss a beat. And she's really good. So thank you, Natalie, for just being an amazing human being. Yeah, I don't know words to describe how great she is, but she's great. And you guys would be lucky to know Natalie, because she is an angel in disguise, is what she is. And if you don't believe in angels in disguise, she's one of them. So I'm gonna end this, guys. Have a great night. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow for Dancing with the Stars.
He's sure singing a different tune now, though, isn't he? This ungrateful bastard. $20,000. Now, he's told us what that was for. But why was this even necessary? Because these men, these able-bodied men that could be out there working, both of them, want to sit there and live off of old ladies, and even while they're taking all that money from this one and that one and the other, they still, by their own admission, were not paying their car notes. Now we've come up to the highly disputed tire money. He showed his bank statement, said, well, she didn't do it. I paid for it on my own account. See, this came out of my own account. She only gave me $50. However, he didn't put the 30th. He put 31st. And yeah, he showed her. I won't show that one because he doxed her whole name and her city. But he left out January 30, didn't he? Because she gave him $1,000 on January 30. And that's why he had the money to pay out of his own account. Yes, it came out of your account, but the money came from her. And he said, she never gave me $2,500. Well, not on January 30th, but she sure did give you $2,500 on November 1st. He's purposefully being very misleading in the things that he says, and that amounts to a lie. You can't say she didn't pay for my tires. It came from my money when she clearly gave you $1,000, and look, she even noted it, that it was for tires.
You wanted the receipt? Well, there's your fucking receipt, bitch. There you go. $50. Not $2,500 as you claim, but $50. Here's my check for my rent, and here's my check for the car repairs right there.
So moving on, we get down to March, where he gets $500 for his birthday. Now I find May very interesting because by now it's been 11 months, almost a year, since he very first took money from her. And remember, $300 of that one was a loan. Maybe by now she's starting to get a little tired of it. She had a little extra money at the time because she'd sold her mother's house, is what he said. Well, this is a year later. Maybe she's wanted to invest some of that money or buy something. Who knows? It's her money. But it's been almost a year now. Maybe she's getting sick of it. So in May, on the 20th, she gives him a loan for $250. The loan comes from her own notes. That's how she recorded it when she sent that money. A loan. Now that brings us to July the 10th. Now this amount is interesting, $1,300, because we've come to know now, thanks to Christy Denver, that that's the amount of his rent. We know Christy Denver paid it in June because that's when John was in the hospital. And they both admitted to this, so we know it's true. And she found when she went to pay that he was a month behind. So she paid 2 months' rent. And then she said someone else paid the next month. John said, no, that ain't so. I never asked nobody to pay my rent. I got money in the bank for my rent. But looks like that's his exact rent amount. Then the very next month, August the 18th, $800 again. September 6th, $200. I don't know about y'all, but I'm assuming she was getting pretty sick of being treated like an ATM. He says she was fussing at him and throwing that $20,000 in his face over and over again. Is that likely? Or is it more likely she said, hey, some of these things were loans. It's time to start paying back. It's also time to stop asking for so much money, because why'd she pay him for his car? Do y'all remember what he said? He said, his own words, he told her, we need our cars because our money comes from delivering food. So if we don't have our cars, we can't make any money. So she said, I'll help you out because you need to work. So she's probably thinking, I done paid for your cars. Why ain't you working? Why are you still using me like this? It's time to get out there and work. You're running low on money. Go get to work. By then, she had probably gotten wind of what he did to Christy Denver. She knew that was rotten. She knew he used her, and she's probably thinking, well, if Christy Denver's doing this and I'm doing this, how many other women are out there sending him money? And he's just sitting around, not doing any kind of work. Can you blame her for being mad? I can't. I don't know what this particular one's supposed to prove. It's him belly aching about this strike he got against him on YouTube, when we all know he has broken every TOS on YouTube, It's a wonder he still has a channel, but he's going to keep himself a victim. Oh, don't you remember? I didn't get paid that month. Now here he's setting her up with Stinky Fish, just like he set her up with Brooke and Jen and all them so they could get a little money and little gifts off of her. After he set her up with Jeffrey, what's he get? He gets a free week timeshare in Tennessee. Now he's crying and whining about this false strike. This was just so unjustified when we all know that he breaks TOS all the time. Nearly every video. He's doxing people, he's blasting people, he's saying the sickest things I ever heard anybody say. Doxing people, saying things about children that are highly inappropriate, threatening to do himself in over and over, showing scars of things that ain't allowed on YouTube. I don't know how he still has that channel. But I'll tell you what, he's always crying about this and that. His entire life is in disarray. It is just one chaotic problem after another. He thinks when something bad happens to an enemy, that it's an answer to his prayers. He calls it karma. But I wonder why he never stops and thinks about why one bad thing after another keeps happening to him. Could that be karma? He has run off nearly every last one of his friends. His lease about to end next month. What's he gonna do? But rather than say, hey, maybe I need to turn my life around. Nope, he's got to blame everybody else because he simply cannot see a single fault in himself. The few friends he's got left are always trying to keep him in line. He starts popping off and you just hear that stupid choo-choo train chime over and over and over again as they try to rein him in. I don't know why they try it. Never, ever works, does it? Why stay friends with someone? You know what he's doing wrong because you're dialing him right up immediately, trying to get him to stop. He don't listen to you because he don't care what you have to say. You baby him, that's all he cares about. The second, just like with Natalie, the second you start to fuss or correct or ask something from him, you will be discarded. Don't fall for this man. Cancel lying John Yates.
I have never ever lied. Ever.